And welcome. You're listening to Mix 1041, Talk 1013, The Buzz, and you're watching MixTV.tv. It's Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. Well, we hope you've got your popcorn ready. In just 2 hours, the two most high-potent offenses in the SEC will square off in front of 102,455 inside Neyland Stadium as Tennessee hosts Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss Rebels for the first time since 2014 when the Vols went down in defeat 34-3. The Vols coming off a 45-20 win over South Carolina Gamecocks, and at 4-2 overall and 2-1 in league play, they've scored 107 points in their last two SEC games combined, showing they're truly beginning to pick up Josh Heupel's offense in their first year under him. Meanwhile, Ole Miss comes in ranked number 13 in the nation, 4-1 overall, 1-1 in the SEC, and a thrilling, what a day of college football last Saturday, 52-51 win over the Arkansas Razorbacks last Saturday. Welcome to Rocky Top Review. I'm joined by Steven Shelton.
I'm excited.
Josh Rogers.
Good morning.
And Jason Cutt.
Hello, everyone.
Maybe Rogers will remember this episode. All right, we're going to go to Shelton. We're all back together this week.
Hey, we are, and listen, I can't be more excited. This is a Saturday that I've waited for years to have this place full. And we'll get into it a little bit more, but we have more recruits on campus today. We have 3 5-star quarterbacks. We have 3 5-star offensive linemen. I mean, if I just hope Rocky Top shows up and makes these guys understand why Neyland Stadium is the greatest place on the face of the earth for college football.
Jason?
Hey, this feels like Tennessee of old. This feels like the Tennessee that we grew up with, and while we were in college, they were so good. This is exciting football. It's exciting to be a Tennessee fan again. You know, let's taper expectations. We still got a Georgia team on the schedule and Bama on the schedule.
I didn't say we were going to win tonight. I just said it was great to be.
But man, it does feel good to feel good about our team.
Well, all right, number one in the nation.
High potent offense. The number one the two high potent offenses of the SEC. Yeah, Georgia's outscored their opponents 239-33 this year. So 239-33 this year.
We didn't say that we had a defense.
33.
We talked about offense.
Oh, okay.
Defense is how many they gave up.
239 points this year. But look, hey, we're excited to have you guys back. We enjoyed last week. Shelton and I had a great time.
Oh, really?
I heard that. I heard y'all had a good time.
Nope.
Hey, listen, guys, I tell you, I was traveling last Saturday. I did catch the late game. Shelton, I don't know, as you go back and look, in the history of college football, at least modern day, if we have had a Saturday like we had last week.
And, you know, it's been a few years since we've said that. It's been a few years ago we talked about, hey, from College game day to the West Coast game with Oregon, it was going to be a great day of college football. But, I mean, you take the Arkansas-Ole Miss game, which I'm still unsure why we didn't kick an extra point there to go in overtime.
Yeah, that's true.
You take the Oklahoma, who was getting just slapped by Texas, and then come back and win with not their Heisman quarterback, some freshman kid that they wouldn't even interview after the game.
Real quick, let me ask this question. As SEC fans, after watching that game last week, you excited about having Texas and Oklahoma?
Oh,
in the SEC?
absolutely.
Oh, my.
I mean, that was kind of a staple right there to show non-believers that Texas and Oklahoma are for real.
You've got Saturdays down south. I don't know if on their social media, they don't like Tennessee. But after the first quarter, they had, and this was before Alabama lost, and the Alabama-Texas A&M game, we'll get to that, but they had Alabama number 1 in the nation. They had Georgia number 2 in the nation, and then they put Tennessee first quarter offense number 3 in the nation. So, I mean, that's how exciting. I mean, it just Texas A&M, Alabama,
and you have it, and that's what I'm saying. It was so good that you're mentioning the number 1 team losing third or fourth. Yeah. I mean, Josh, it was incredible.
It was being able to watch. I mean, just as a Georgia fan, watching Georgia beat Auburn, that's always a game where it's like, you know, the South's oldest rivalry right there. It gets you a little excited, but to stay up and be able to watch Alabama lose to Texas A&M, which we talked about last week in the show that we did, was going to be a close game.
I picked that before the season started, then Texas A&M kind of fell off the rails.
They did, but we said that the 12th man had to show up, and if the 12th man showed up, then Texas A&M could win that game, and they did, and it was unbelievable to watch. Just sometimes we get in this where SEC games are great, but Pac-12 games, Big 10, Big 12 games, they slack off. Last week, we had 5 major conferences that had great games in all 5 conferences.
Michigan game was great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Did you all see the video? The Texas A&M's kicker, his parents, his family, watching it. That was pretty incredible.
Either his girlfriend or sister just jumps the stands and runs on the field.
His wife.
Yeah. I mean, jumps the stands and runs onto the field. I'm thinking, okay.
Shelton just said he married a sister. Well,
no. He didn't play for Alabama.
That's right. Jason, and not to mention, I mean, we haven't even talked about Iowa-Penn State, which also came down to it. Iowa knocking off Penn State. It was just an incredible day.
Yeah, it was a great day of football. I hope we have more of those. I was on the softball field all day with my daughter, so I was watching the Tennessee game recorded as Alabama was finishing up. So I turned Tennessee off. We'd won, and here we go. I mean, A&M has a chance to beat Alabama. I'm like, what in the world? I missed all that all day. So.
I was in airport. So
can we say something real quick?
It can be edited. Go ahead.
Can it be? and this isn't to say that Georgia's number 1, but who at the beginning of the year would think that the top 5 that we have is the top 5 that we have?
Oh, no.
Right? With Iowa, Cincinnati, Oklahoma.
Yeah, no chance.
You got Alabama at 5. I mean, coming into the season, it was Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, and everyone else. And that Clemson Georgia game was going to be the determining factor for Georgia moving forward for their entire season.
We've had eight teams in the top 10 lose this year.
Yes. Wow.
Well, that were ranked in the top 10.
It's a different year in college football, and now we're starting to talk, and we're hearing more coming out over the next couple of weeks, and people are saying it could even be this week that we might hear about moving from 8 to 12, maybe 16-team playoff. Well, you start sitting there looking about who are those teams in the top 8, the top 12, and the top 16 right now. Seeing Cincinnati and Iowa up in 2 and 3, unbelievable.
But and Mike, Cincinnati does not belong anywhere close to the top 10.
They beat Notre Dame.
Now,
listen, Luke Fickell's going to name his prize next year.
Cincinnati's been in the top 10 for the past 2 or 3 years now. They've been right there at 8. They've been right there.
Luke Fickell's got it going on.
I think
Luke
Fickell actually, if Urban Meyer doesn't dance his way to USC, I think he's got a chance to land a huge job. I mean, he really does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go back. Tennessee, of course, beating South Carolina last Saturday, very convincing fashion. Shelton, 45-20.
Yeah, convincing in the first half. Second half, there were boo birds out like crazy. Coach Heupel talked about the players and even the coaching staff kind of lost focus after that first half, which, listen, even the energy of the crowd, I'll be honest with you, was down. I mean, everybody at halftime went and got something to eat, came back, sat back, and kicked their feet up. And there were actually more people talking about the Ole Miss game than actually watching the Tennessee game. Everybody with their phones out. Hooker had a good day, 17 to 23, 225, 3 touchdowns. Tyon Evans, 16 carries, 119 yards. This guy's special. Jones, 6 catches. Tillman had 6 catches. 28 points in the first quarter. Again, though, let's talk about this was a blowout win, but, and I say but, Tennessee had 472 total offensive yards. For a team that got destroyed on the field, South Carolina had 370 total offensive yards.
Jason?
Well, how many of that was on a botched fake punt attempt, and was that the third quarter or whatever?
Blown.
I mean, they're on their side of the field. They're punting. They were always going to fake that, and everybody knew it, so there's 50 of those yards. I tell you what, Brandon Turnage, that's a name we haven't talked much about. Theo Jackson, our leading tackler, was out last week. Brandon Turnage, transfer from Alabama, steps into his place in that star position. SEC Defensive Player of the Week this past week. Most of those have probably come off the Georgia defense, but this week it was Brandon Turnage. turnage.
Probably off the Georgia defensive line.
And Theo Jackson worked with him all week. They said in the mornings and at night to prepare him for that game. And they said Coach Heupel said that Jackson was actually MVP of the defense this week because of his unselfishness to get him ready. And they watched film together, told him what to look for, and then all of a sudden he's.
Well, that's a good sign.
You know, last week I picked South Carolina to win that game. Sorry,
you missed
guys.
that one.
Yeah, definitely did. And I texted you.
We understand why, but it's fine.
Yeah. I texted you guys right at the end of the first half, and I said, "Well, looks like I was wrong." You know, and I was like, "Wow, definitely wrong on this one." But I had those feelings in the third and fourth quarter. Was like, maybe I was right, you know. And so we talked last week. Tennessee has to be able to play for a complete game, and going into Ole Miss, if Tennessee does what they did last week against South Carolina, come out big in the first, that's great. But if they play like they did in the second, Lane Kiffin and that Ole Miss offense is going to blow them out at the end of the season.
I got to grab a break right here. You're watching and listening to Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial. Back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. It's Rocky Top Review presented by CHI Memorial on Mix TV, mixtv.tv. If you talk about Halloween, if you want to watch this thing, or listen on Mix 104.1 and Talk 101.3 The Buzz. I've got to go to Steven Shelton. It's Shelton's hot seat. And
Edo, I've been calling for it, baby. We're getting there. That thing's sizzling.
Yeah.
So
What do you think?
Very hot.
He's gone. I mean, this thing is over. I'm gonna tell you why I think it's over. I think that the Mannings will pick the next coach at LSU because I think that's where the youngest Manning wants to go. Arch wants to go. And
now Arch is in Nashville, isn't he? Doesn't he play at a?
No, he's at the same place Peyton came from.
Is he?
Yeah.
So
Newman.
I just think that at the end of the day, the Manning. I think Arch. You know, Eli is always going to be Ole Miss. I know Archie went there, but it doesn't matter. Nobody can remember him. And Peyton's, Tennessee. I just think that that's why he's not even – I think the Mannings have already told Tennessee he's not coming there just because of Peyton's legacy. I think that he's going to LSU or Texas. I think those are the two teams that he could land at, and I just truly believe that LSU will basically say, if Arch will come down here, we'll let you pick the next coach.
Let me throw this in for my boys, right? Georgia's fighting hard for Arch Manning.
I mean,
He's
they
not
are
coming to Georgia.
They don't have a quarterback after this year. I mean,
they
no, they don't.
Now,
they don't.
Aren't Peyton and Kirby pretty tight?
They are very close, and so I think that you might. I agree with Texas, LSU, but I would throw Georgia in there as a fourth or fifth team that he might. But I think Arch Manning, he could probably put a table full, like one of those school tables full of baseball caps up there.
Oh, gosh,
signs.
yeah.
I mean, he's going to have offers from everyone. I'm interested to see how we start narrowing this down with him. But LSU is going to be big.
Anybody else on the coaching hot seat?
I think there's plenty, but I just think Edo is the one that's really just sticking out right now.
I've got one, but we'll get there in the picks.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
What anything with USC right now? And hearing about anything? I've heard this past week Brian Kelly from Notre Dame might be leaving.
I just don't understand why you take a guy that's, he's been in the top four a couple of times, but got blown out. I don't know why you settle for, for someone that's already been there, done that. I don't know. I feel, let me put it this way. I think Lane Kiffin could land back at USC before he could.
I think it'll be James Franklin.
Really?
You're Shelton's boy.
Yeah, I hate James Franklin. That's, but no, so I mean, I really do.
All right, Tennessee will host Ole Miss tonight at 7:30 right here on Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3. Let's begin with Jason Cox. Jason, as you break this game down, what are you looking at?
Well, Matt Corral comes in almost 1,500 yards passing, 12 touchdowns, and the big stat, 0 interceptions so far. Kid's playing great. Dontario Drummond, 26 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Snoop Connor, 7 touchdowns rushing. The rushing attack is a combination of Matt Corral and Snoop Connor. And here's when I break it down, here's what I see. Okay, Ole Miss is scoring 46 points a game. UT's scoring about 41 points a game. But here's a difference. Points allowed. Ole Miss is allowing 31. UT's allowing 21. Okay, and when I got even into that even a little bit more, the difference is the rushing yards allowed. Ole Miss allows 191. Tennessee allows 112 per game. So my summation is can Tennessee summation? It's a big word. Tennessee? in summary,
Thank you.
can Tennessee's defense slow the Ole Miss rushing attack down? And if they can, they win this football game.
Josh Rogers, an NIL this week?
Yes. Yeah. We've.
Let's pause right here for the NIL report. Josh, over to you.
So, with our NIL deal last week, I'm still waiting on my check. So I don't know. You were not here last week, but we got signed last week. We got signed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I talked with my friends at Cleveland Insurance.
Okay. I pay them some money.
I do
here,
too.
so.
And so what I was told by the good people at Cleveland Insurance is that if we would mention them every game or every Rocky Top review, they'd give both of us $100.
Whoa.
Whoa. Hello.
Okay.
Wow.
Bryant Baines, those guys over there?
Yeah, Aaron Cagle.
Aaron
And
Cagle?
so-
Don't we know somebody else? over
we
there?
do.
Yeah.
And so
Who is not going to approve this?
So this week, I took off for my NIL deal this week. Didn't go out to
Just
to
couldn't
get
remember it.
No,
That's fine.
but my dogs were number one this week,
Okay.
and so with Georgia going up to number one, I want to put all the spotlight on them. And so the summation of this
That's a
entire
good
thing-
word, by the
Thank you.
way.
The summation of all this
He can't spell it.
I cannot. Is Siri might. Shelton owes us like $300.
Okay.
So-
Excellent.
So here we go.
Love it. Love it.
But hey,
Bad at math.
but back
to the game.
Yeah, so back to the game. Cleveland Insurance. Back to the game.
I think it's $100 every time you say it.
Every time we say it. So we could talk about time of possession. We could talk about defense and offenses, but I really believe that this game comes down to who has the ball last. I really do.
Wow.
I think that this game is going to be so close offensively for both teams. Both teams have great rushing attacks. Defense, Tennessee's defense is decent at best, and Ole Miss's defense is decent at best. What I really think is going to come down to is how can Heupel be able to put Hendon Hooker into a position to go out and win this game? This is going to be a statement game for him moving into the rest of this season. You look at the rest of the season for Tennessee, you have, just onslaught of games. Alabama, Georgia coming up. But the big thing for Tennessee is if we can get this win right here, we're probably talking about going bowling.
By the
if you
way,
really
Sheldon,
think about
did
it.
you notice he just said we?
We. I did.
Did
I
you hear
can't-
that?
We.
Wow.
He did say we.
We at Cleveland Insurance believe.
Gosh,
Cha-ching.
Hey, Austin, if you can put a cha-ching sound effect on that,
that'd be
nice.
great. Yeah, that'd be
What about
great.
it, Sheldon?
Tennessee right now is ranked 45th nationally, and I look at these two offensively, I should say. Defensively. Defensively, they're ranked 45th nationally. Ole Miss is ranked 102nd nationally. But Tennessee's played South Carolina. Tennessee's played Missouri. Ole Miss has played Alabama and Arkansas. There's a big difference there. Yeah. I just think at the end of the day, Ole Miss's offense, and I agree with Josh, it could come down to the last because, Kiffin's defense is to see how fast we can get the ball back on offense. Mm-hmm. That's all it is, whether you score or not. It doesn't matter. I just don't think Tennessee's offense is to the level of Ole Miss's, and I think Ole Miss's defense is just a little bit better than ours. I just think Ole Miss comes in today, and I think they may still win.
I think going back to what Josh said, that second half, Tennessee's shown some times where they just kind of quit playing offense, and I'm afraid that could happen in, say, the third quarter of this game, and that beats you against an offense like Ole Miss.
Third quarter against Missouri as well.
Yeah,
the last two games has been the third quarter has been zero offense.
So unless this offense can put 60 minutes together, then they can't win this game.
Well, that's my favorite show. Thank you for saying
Which I don't really understand is because a lot of teams after they come out after halftime, they're really hyped up. They're ready to go. They're ready to play the second half, and you really see a trend of better play right after halftime, where you get a little rest, you get some fluids in you, and then you're able to play a little bit better in that third quarter. Tennessee, they better pray that there is no halftime.
Yeah, they need to stay on the field.
Stay on the field.
Yeah.
Don't go into the locker room and just hang out there and keep going.
The only thing I can say about the third quarter of the last two games is they have been up by so much. I guess it's hard to keep motivated, but it just can't happen.
Sheldon, I want to close out this segment. You were talking to us off the air about 102,000 people in Knoxville really has a different meaning than 70,000. We know that, but tell me about the atmosphere.
Well, the way Knoxville's built, if you've ever walked to the top of the stadium, it's straight up and straight down, okay? And we can talk about crowd noise. and how loud stadiums are. Well, I've been to Georgia. I've been to almost every SEC stadium. Tennessee's so much louder just the way it's designed. And it's the same thing in Seattle. It's not their fans are that much louder. It's the way it's designed. And Tennessee, just the sound does not escape the stadium.
Well, can I say this one thing real quick?
40 seconds.
Whoever Heupel deciding to go black jerseys last week, that was the dumbest move they could ever done. It should be today with the checkerboard at night. I mean, it's just.
I'll say this: the crowd can play a big part in tonight's game, but I think that if Tennessee's fans show up like they did in the '90s and early 2000s, it could be enough to disrupt that Ole Miss offense.
The Lane train comes to Knoxville. Kickoff at 7:30. Mix 104.1 and Talk 101.3 The Buzz. Our final segment will pick the games coming up next. Stand by, Cleveland Insurance.
Cleveland Insurance.
Our broadcast, though, is really presented by CHI Memorial. CHI Memorial. Imagine better health. Stand by. The picks are next. Welcome back, everyone. A final segment for Rocky Top Review, Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz. We're on the Mix 104.1 app. Your phone, your mobile device, download for free at mymix1041.com. That's also presented by CHI Memorial and Mix TV. You can watch this train wreck, mixtv.tv. Time to pick the games, and we'll begin with Auburn at Arkansas. And as we're on the air here at about the 5:30 hour, near 6 o'clock tonight, this game it's already over. I want to go to Josh Rogers. What do you think happened?
I think that Arkansas came in and played a really good game against Auburn. Auburn beat up last week against Georgia, but I think Auburn bounces back this week, beats Arkansas, and kind of makes their mark for about third or fourth in the SEC West.
Of course, Shelton, we're taping this on Thursday. Shelton, over to you.
I don't know. I like Arkansas. I like what they're doing. I think you had a coaching blunder last week. I understand you go for the win on the road, but I just think Arkansas is better than Auburn.
Jason.
KJ Jefferson, Sam Pittman, Arkansas. They get right after that loss last week. Arkansas wins this one.
Another noon game that's already over as we tape this, but we're going to see how we did here. Florida, LSU. Now, that's a noon Eastern time game. Let me begin with Jason.
Yeah, the Ed Orgeron farewell tour continues. Yeah. They take one on the chin. The Gators beat them.
What do you think, Sheldon?
The Dan Mullen resume continues to build for the USC job. Give me the Gators.
Oh, Josh?
I don't pick Florida, so give me LSU.
All right, coming off their stunning defeat of Alabama, Texas A&M goes to Missouri. That's another noon game that's already over. Sheldon, what do you think happened?
This one should be ugly. I mean, really ugly. A&M by a lot.
Josh?
Yeah, same there. I think Texas A&M is trying to get back a little bit. They've beat Alabama, they beat Missouri, and they're going to keep rolling in the West.
Jason?
My question is, which Texas A&M team shows up? Because they were bad early in the season. We thought they were going to be really good. We thought that game last week might be competitive early in the season. They got it done last week. Which team shows up? Honestly, do they have Bama fatigue? Maybe. If they were playing anybody but Missouri and Vandy, I'd probably pick an upset here. But I just can't do it. And this starts the Steven Shelton hot seat of Eli Drinkwitz. I think this guy could be in trouble starting today.
I'm throwing Mike Leach in this the whole thing too.
Are you really?
Yeah. Got a little ahead of myself, but yeah, there's three SEC coaches that are done.
Who? Edo,
the guy at Missouri,
Drinkwitz.
Yep, and Mike Leach at Mississippi State.
All right. Did we get everybody on that round?
Yeah.
I lost my train. Okay, Kentucky. Now, this is a game that's probably still in progress. Kentucky, number 11 in the country, and it's football. At number 1, Georgia. Josh, we've got to start with you. That's a 3:30 CBS spot. We'll, by the way, have that Georgia game on 99.1, supplied by Wholesale Supply Group. Josh?
Dogs on top all day. Georgia, big.
Yeah, Jason?
I'm confused by that number 11 beside a Kentucky football team. That just confuses me. Josh, you're not going to go all season and not be tested. I do think the Dogs win, but I think it's close today.
Joe.
This is the first time in the history of the SEC East that two teams are 6-0 and played each other.
Whoa.
A little tidbit of information
That's
there.
pretty good.
6-1 for Kentucky after today.
There's 10 slots between number 1 and number 11, and it's going to look like a lot more than that. This is the best Georgia defense they've ever had bar none. I mean, Georgia is a program that's one Herschel Walker away from being just nothing. But this year's defense is incredible, without a doubt. Give me Georgia by 17.
Cleveland Insurance.
And we'll see if
Bring me
Herschel,
some more money.
We'll see if Herschel can turn the vote out as well next year. All right, it's time now for the Heartline Ivy League game of the week. This week, it's Colgate at Cornell. Jason Cox.
Well, I use Colgate toothpaste, so I'm going with Colgate.
I figured. Josh Rogers.
Cornell. I don't know these.
I'm going with Cornell. It just sounds better.
And I'm going with Colgate for the same reason Jason did. All right. It's a game everybody's ready for. Ole Miss on Rocky Top. Lane Kiffin brings his Ole Miss Rebels to Tennessee. The kickoff 7:30. Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz, and the Mix app. Listen on your phone or mobile device at mymix1041.com. We will begin with Jason Cox.
My thought is who gets more possessions, and what I mean by that is who has the ball the most that they don't turn it over. And so whoever has the most possessions wins this game. I think Tennessee gets more stops than Ole Miss. I think they take care of the football better than Ole Miss. Hostile crowd, Steven Shelton, you mentioned
That's
that.
what Coach Heupel's calling for.
Yep, hostile crowd. Tennessee gets the win in a shootout.
Josh Rogers.
Hostile crowd to begin the game. Very quiet in the second half. Ole Miss big over Tennessee.
And finally, Steven Shelton.
Coming in this game, the over-under was 85.5. It's down to 80.5. That is the third highest over-under in college football history. The highest ever was in 2015 between Baylor and Texas Tech. That was 90.5. A lot of people taking the under. Listen, Tennessee's 44-19-1 all time against Ole Miss. Today it'll be 44-20-1. I think Ole Miss squeaks one out of Neyland Stadium, and Lane Kiffin, since leaving Tennessee, will still remain undefeated in Neyland Stadium.
Wow.
As a coach of another team.
Well, I'm going to go with Tennessee. I think they're going to win it. All right. That is it. Rocky Top Review for this week presented by CHI Memorial Convenient Care, Public Shopping Center, Cleveland. And now, let's go to the Ball Network.